Welcome to episode 420 of the DFO Rundown. I'm Jason Gregor. It's always brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary. Bet365, get in the game. Lots of NHL action. NBA is in full season. And, of course, the National Football League. It's never ordinary. It's always fun. Bet365. Use the promo code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. And it is episode 420. And, Rupper, if we combine my toque with your mustache, we would really fit the stereotype of 420 today.
Yeah, we get a sponsor, maybe like Visine or something. That'd be perfect. Perfect.
Oh, that would be good. I never got into the. I like to call it the hippie whiskey. I was never into it. I know it's legal and it's legal in Canada and in lots of parts of the United States, but it was never my thing. The smell of it just. Plus, I can't inhale smoke. Like I was, like most people, I probably tried it once, and you're sitting there, you take a drag, hacking up a lung. It wasn't a good look. So I was never cool.
Quick one for you. One of my last year playing in the NHL, we were playing the Colorado Avalanche in the playoffs. I was with Minnesota, and 420, the date fell, we were playing in the playoffs in Denver. And so we went to go walk around. There's that nice little stretch downtown there. We could walk down restaurant shopping. It was like I was on a different planet because it was legalized. It was like the only state that was legal. And on 420, it's just everybody letting it all hang out that day. I'm like, where? It's like I'm in a movie. It was the craziest thing that we're just walking around and we just look like a bunch of schmucks too, because we're all wearing our suits and everyone else is all, pretty stereotype look that we were seeing on the street. So it was a wild day.
Oh, buddy, yeah, the 420. Hey, you know what? Everybody has their day, and I guess when you're you like the reefer, that 420 is kind of like your Christmas. So, yeah, I remember at a place where I used to work, they had a few guys that openly partook in it quite often, and man, 420, I couldn't believe it. They would celebrate, and they would try to rap who could have the biggest one, and you're just like, oh my, it's like a sausage, and I'm just like, geez. Their eyes are all glassy. You're just like, holy cow, fellas. So it was pretty funny. But there are a few teams that right now. So here we are. It's usually at this time of year is where the Thanksgiving Day week, and everybody's like, oh, you look at the schedule and how many points are you out and yada yada. And because of all the overtime games, the standings are closer. But we are seeing a little bit of separation in the West, and Nashville, St. Louis, and Calgary have kind of been out for a while. Doesn't mean they're officially out because obviously they go on a ridiculous run. St. Louis has done that multiple times here in the last 6 years. But Vancouver Canucks are now a team that's 4 points or more out of the playoff spot. They've only won 3 of 10 home games. Demko's hurt, and this is a big year for the Vancouver Canucks because of the whole Quinn Hughes situation. We know he's got a contract that's due at the end of next season, but if you're the Canucks, right now, hey, teams would always be interested in Quinn Hughes. There's no doubt in my mind. But because of the cap space, you probably couldn't get exactly what you want. There's going to be a lot more cap space for teams starting July 1st. When do you think it'd be if Vancouver ends up a bottom 5, bottom 10 team, Rupper, is that pretty much a guarantee for you that Quinn Hughes is leaving?
Yeah, I believe so. Because here's the thing. So he can sign his extension July 1. So leading up to July 1, that's this season. This season, I think we all kind of knew was going to be a very large telltale on where this team is going and what they potentially can be moving forward. And I think Quinn's been very, very vocal about the disappointment from last year. And he took a lot of that on himself too. And that's what I love about him. That's why he's got the C. But he also said this year he was demanding a lot more out of themselves. And if that doesn't happen, I don't think you look to, let's see how this next year. No. It's this year. It's been very clear that this was the year, if there's going to be a chance of re-signing Quinn. A lot of it was going to be on the direction this team is going. So I think now, it's slipping away right now. I don't know where it goes. It's now you continually have this stuff with Demko. It's clearly an injury thing where you don't even know if you have your franchise goalie in house right now too. as far as just long term or whatever that circumstance is, because he's never really available. He's great when he's in, but not available very much. So I don't know, Greg's. I don't know what you do here. You got no trade protection for him, so I think you have to start looking at things now. And I don't think there's any rush, because you got to hit a grand slam. It's got to be massive if you're going to trade this guy. I just think that reading the tea leaves, I don't believe he's going to re-sign there, especially the way this team is playing and where they're probably going.
Yeah, well, and that's a concern, and I can see how Vancouver Canuck fans would be concerned. You don't want to lose it. Now, lots of teams have been able to keep their big name guys, but most of them right now have been teams that are more on the competitive side, and right now the Canucks aren't. Now, hey, maybe they turn it around and they go on a run. Demko comes back and they reel off 6 wins, and in 20 games it's a different conversation. But I just wonder, at what point does it become like, oh my goodness, we might have to consider worst case scenario here if you're the Vancouver Canucks. And make no doubt about it, like, you're going to trade Quinn Hughes and you could get a good package back, but the odds of even breaking even in those trades are hard for any team. Like, it's really hard when you're trading the best player to even out in the trade. Especially when it's elite best player. Sometimes, you see teams, they trade away guys. And, like, I look back at a trade that worked out really well for a good player was, Joe Nieuwendyk, when they traded him to Dallas, and Dallas gave up their pick, which turned out to be Jerome McGinley. And hey, Jerome McGinley has a great time in Calgary, and Dallas wins a cup, granted 4 years later, but they still won a cup with Joe Nieuwendyk, and that was a major part of their team, and that worked out in a way for both teams because Calgary ended up getting it. But those are kind of rare, man. We can go down the list of lots of other top end guys who get traded, and it just doesn't. The team who gives up the best guy is usually on the short end of that deal.
100%. And it makes it really tough too, because of the salary cap. We know that we've spoken about the cap and going up, and it's going to go up again. It makes you wonder how many teams can come to the table in the middle of the season. Probably not that great, but I think there's a lot of teams who make, they make mountains move to get this deal done. And the other thing, though, too, when you talk about leverage also is, doesn't it kind of feel like Vancouver, I don't know, I think of it both ways, because maybe there's not as many teams. You need teams to kind of play off each other, but also you get potentially 2 playoff runs with Quinn Hughes. If you wanted, theoretically, you could. So I feel like it's a really unique spot. I when it's all said and done, I don't know what happens. I'm not saying he's 100% not going to be in Vancouver for the long haul. I kind of feel like that, but I think that there is probably a landing spot prior to. I think all the Hughes brothers are going to play together. That's just this. And if it's at New Jersey, probably. But if not, then it's going to be a massive news story if it's elsewhere. But I think there's going to be a stretch where there's quite potential, I think, for Quinn to go somewhere else until he becomes a free agent.
Well, Jack's under contract until 2030. Luke's under contract till 2032. So if you look at it and say, okay, we're going to make a trade to New Jersey, the one thing the Devils have is that they actually could give you a pretty decent package, especially you're looking.
They could do that now. They could do that now. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 or 2 defensemen on the back end. Like, they got a really deep blue line. Right, Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, Brett Pesce, Brendan Dillon, Kovacevic, Siegenthaler, Nemec. Like, they got a lot of guys. So, not to mention that you'd probably want a forward out of there too. And a lot of their guys, are under contract for a few seasons. So they could, in theory, if a trade was discussed, they could do it. And you know what? They probably could give you pretty good value, even if you're like, well, that's the only place he wants to go, right? Because he could say, hey, you trade me anywhere for a year, but I'm leaving as a free agent at the end of the 27th season. So, you know what? The other teams might not give you as much. So rarely are you in a great position of power to trade the best player, right? Like, I look at the job. I'm trying to think of like superstars have been traded in the salary cap era. Chris Pronger, when he got traded to Edmonton. Edmonton gave up like 3 defensemen. Eric Brewer was a good player, had played on the Olympic team, but he's not close to Chris Pronger, right? Lynch and Woywitka, didn't play much. And then now when Edmonton traded him to Anaheim, they actually got a fair amount, right? They ended up getting Jordan Eberle in the pick. And so, did better than what St. Louis did. But look at Boston, that trade when they traded Joe Thornton. They didn't really tell people. And oh my God, like what a terrible trade for the Bruins. Obviously a franchise altering trade for the Sharks. And like there's 2 Hall of Fame guys. And, the way Quinn Hughes is projecting, I think he's probably going to be on that list. And then, you think of other guys that have been traded. Like Heatley and Hossa was unique because I was star for star. That doesn't happen.
Or you can even go like I was thinking like Weber Subban, like that was a big one, as far as you getting star for star. But you're right, it doesn't happen usually.
Yeah, and everybody thought that, oh man, Nashville really won that trade. If you look at it, both teams ended up making to a Stanley Cup final. Neither one won, but Shea Weber is definitely the better player. There's no question in my mind about that. So it's rare to do. So it'll be the most talked about story. And I think if Vancouver, if the gap widens between them and the playoff spot, I think the chatter probably heats up a little bit more. Because you bring up a valid argument. If you're Vancouver, when can you get the most? Could you get the most before the deadline, or could you get the most in the summer? Now, you can make an argument both ways. Might be a team that's willing to give you more then, but in the summertime, there's probably more teams in the mix. But again, if it comes down to Quinn Hughes has got his heart set on going to New Jersey, it might not matter.
Yeah. No, it's a very crazy scenario that we got to see play out. That the one thing that Vancouver fans could not afford to happen is what we're seeing here, and why this is a thing. Because if Vancouver was taking a step, I don't think this would be talked about. I don't think we bring it up. I don't think Quinn would want to. I think Quinn would be. Let's pretend there's a world where he ends up wanting to go, or we know he wants to go. Everybody would want to play with their brothers. But like if they were competitive, I think he'd be totally fine staying there, at least for this season and for whatever moving forward. But the problem is that hasn't happened. So again, nobody ever wants to trade a guy like that. Vancouver fans probably are pissed off that anyone's even talking about it, but it's the nature of it. I mean, they have to do your due diligence here because you can't afford to miss on any kind of trade or whatever the circumstances. This is franchise altering decision that's going to be made here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go out to the East now, and we're into the second quarter of the season. And you had some teams had a really good start. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they had a great start. They were 6-2-1 in their first 9, but now they're 4-3-3 in their last 10. They've dropped. They're not in the top 3 in the division anymore. Although they have games in hand, so that maybe that makes it up a bit. But they've fallen down. The Montreal Canadiens have really they used to be in first place in the Atlantic, and now they're down to a tie for 11th in the conference. Which one are you more? And they're 3-4-3, where Pittsburgh is 4-3-3 in their last 10. Which one are you more concerned with after a good start has fallen down and might continue to fall down?
I mean, probably I might be equal on them both. No, probably more so Montreal. You and I spoke on it. It's concerning still at this point when you're talking about the Canadiens playing 20 games. They have 5 regulation wins. So you've won 25% of your games outright. That's concerning because that's Calgary has 5. Buffalo has 5. Like these are, you should have, your regulation wins should be, I mean, I was looking at it right now, when you're looking at some of the other teams, even in the same area of the standings as you, I mean, there you got the Montreal Canadiens tied in points with the Florida Panthers, same amount of games played. The Florida Panthers have doubled. They got 10 regulation wins. So it's that to me is really something because it's so low. But this is a team that just kind of the bottom has fallen out. The goaltending has not been good. I wouldn't say they were defending great early on, but there's no room for error with that team. If they're going to put up 6, they can win hockey games. Anybody, if you're going to put up 6 goals plus in a game, you're going to win games. And that's what they were doing kind of early on. So they had some good goaltending, and everything's kind of dropped for the Montreal Canadiens right now.
Yeah, like I thought the Habs were going to be a team that was going to struggle at times defending, and we're starting to see that now. And you know what, your goaltenders can save you at certain times, but in any environment, if your goalie's getting left out to dry on high danger quality chances on a regular basis, it's going to be hard to win for sure. So I look at them. I look at the Rangers. What did you think of the JT Miller lack of effort? Rupper, you know what? I know on your other pod, you're all about the Rangers. Like that's not a good look. Now, I didn't look. I should have looked at his time. Like, was he dead tired at the end of a minute and a half shift?
It's a great question. I don't even know what his shift length was there. Here's the thing with JT is, so I don't know. I mean, I think to myself, that was not a great look. You're grabbing a snippet of it. It obviously made its run. I think he's been banged up all year. He's hurt. Okay. But if you're hurt that bad, then go get good, because this team needs you to be, they can't score goals. You have been 100-point guy. Like, they need you to be somewhat of JT Miller they think they're getting. And then part of it too, I don't know, in that just in a week's time, JT Miller was on the ice for that Appleton shooting it in the empty net. And then Jonathan Quick coming off, and JT didn't really do anything there. So it just feels like when you put a couple of these things together, like there's a lack of something, right? And I don't know, because maybe he's hurt, but whatever it is, he needs to get right. It was funny because yesterday they obviously were in Colorado and it's a tough matchup. And I was thinking, you know what, JT Miller is funny. I picked it. We had a prop bets for NHL Network, and I'm like, he's going to get 2 goals in this game. He did. So I ended up getting that, but that's not a good look right there. And it's just, but that's JT. Like, we've seen this with him. We've seen that in Van. We've seen that in back when he was in Tampa. We saw it when he was with the Rangers the first time. Like, he has moments like this. And that's, I don't want to say it's fine, because it's not fine. It's a bad look, especially when you have a C on your jersey. But as long as there's other moments where he's dragging the team along, I think he can maybe live with it. But we haven't really seen those. And if he's hurt, then get healthy, because this team right now, they need a healthy JT Miller. They need something as far as leadership to drag them through this.
I looked. It was a 1:02 shift, so long, but not like, oh my God, I'm dying long. Right now, I guess I would have had to look. Was there lots of stops and starts and analyze the whole shift? But yeah, it's not a good look. Even when you're that tired, you can still you know how you can, Rupper. Some guys pretend they're getting in the shooting lane. You can make it look like you're getting.
It's almost even like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like other sports, and I remember Eli Manning used to get this rap of just his body language. When it'd be a 3 and out, and the chin strap would come undone, and he just looked frustrated, defeated. But that was just kind of like his look. And I know he took a lot of heat there. This is prior to him winning Super Bowls, but like JT Miller has that. It's the body language like that too. And certain guys have, whether it's the way that looked. He's standing straight up, his head almost like cockeyes to the side, like, oh. Like, I don't know. It's just everything adding up was just not a good look right there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, everybody was jumping on that, and deservedly so, because he's your captain.
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting one. The Penguins, unreal start. Slowly, maybe now. Hey, either 4-3-3 in their last. You do that every 10 games. You get 11 points, and you're kind of a competitive team if you do that. So. That's probably actually be a 91, 92 point pace. So you'd actually be okay. But I look at the Penguins, and they're starting to be like, this is who we thought they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I didn't think it was going to be, I hate saying sustainable all the time, but it's true. I mean, they came out, and just think of the first 20 games. Most teams are at about that 20 game mark right now. And I love the storylines. Like, there's no shortage of them in the NHL, but it doesn't tell the story. Like the best teams aren't looking the best right now. Well, unless you're Colorado, of course, but the worst teams aren't as bad as they maybe look. Like, there's somewhere in between. Like, you're still trying to figure a lot of things out. So, the Penguins had that great start. A lot of that was being carried by Crosby, Malkin. The goaltending was fantastic, and it's just they're starting to come back down to earth a little bit more. And I think that they're a team that when you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins over the last couple years, they defended at a very bad level as far as team defense. And that was a lot of it's been cleaned up. They are a fast team. I give a ton of credit to Dan Muse, how he's got that team playing and turned things around. I just don't think that they're as good as what we've seen. Now, I also don't think that they are going to be as bad as what we've seen in the past because Dan Muse has them playing a particular way. So are they going to be in the conversation for a playoff spot? Yeah, probably. They'll probably be in contention for that all year. But to be a top 3 team in the Metro, I don't think that was realistic.
No, and Malkin and Crosby were on, big heaters scoring early on, and they've kind of slowed down a little bit. And once your top guys start slowing down, it's hard, right? Brazo was off to an unreal start. Now Brazo got banged up. I do think they miss him, right? I like the guy was a point a game player, and all of a sudden, he hasn't played in the month of November. I know some people might be surprised by that, but I do think they miss him. Right, like that line, him, Manthan, Malkin were really going big, heavy line, and you take a point a game player out of your lineup, even though I didn't think he was going to remain that. What if he drops down to a 0.7? You're still missing points, right? And it was an unfortunate injury for him at time-wise because he's playing great, but I also think that's hurt the Penguins maybe more than – I know it's not Crosby and people are like, oh, you got to deal with injuries, and I get that, but certain guys at certain times, they get banged up. It ruins your mojo a bit. And that line specifically had a lot of mojo.
Oh, you could argue one of the top lines in hockey there for a good little stretch. Great thing that they're finding out here and figuring out here is this Ben Kindel kid's. He's a good player, man. He's a really, really good player. Yeah. So they got a good one. Really young guy. I think he caught a lot of people off guard getting drafted in the first round this past draft. But that's been something they have been a pleasant surprise as an organization. But this kid, he looks like he's going to be a hell of a player. And he's shown some nice signs so far.
Yeah, because, Mantha had 11 points in the first 12 games, Rupper, and he's had 3 since. So, maybe it's a bit of reality coming back down to earth for some guys. And so I don't think Pens fans should be overly shocked. Now, speaking of some guys going down, and then there's the ageless wonder, Alex Ovechkin scores his 33rd hat trick last night. That ties him with Brett Hull for 4th most. He's not catching the great one in this category. Gretzky had 50. Lemieux had 40, Mike Bossy had 39, and then now Ovi and Hall have 33. But Ovi historically has always been a guy, he gets a little hot, and you're like, uh-oh. So he had 4 and 5. Now he's got 7 goals in his last 6 games, hat trick last night. And, he's not shooting the puck a ton just yet, Rupper, but he's starting to come on, and you're thinking, oh, my God, this guy's going to score 40 again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy when you think about the last couple of seasons, how the narrative switches so quickly on this guy, where it goes from, wow, he's not moving well. Like, oh, I think this is it. He's not doing it. And then all of a sudden he goes on a run like this and turns it around real quick, very similar to what he did last year. But that's him. I mean, he's going to score goals. Those numbers right there look pretty darn good considering at one point when you're talking about the Washington Capitals, you're like, Ovi's not even, he's struggling. He doesn't look like himself. So, this is a team that needs that. They need Ovi doing that. And they had so many great storylines last year, and his was the biggest one. Chasing down that record, but there's so many guys who are having incredible years, and this year it's just human nature. Like guys had career years, and they're not having them up to this point. So to have him give this boost right now is what Washington needs, because I really thought this team can kind of go either way this season. But Ovi's kind of really starting to come alive right now. I think, 30 seems very easy for him at this point. Who knows? Can you imagine if he got, I don't know, if he gets 40, like who's to say this guy can't get 50? Like, I know it's like a slow start for him to get 50, but like, I won't put any restrictions on Alex Ovechkin anymore. I've learned my lesson in the past, and I'm not going to start now.
No, the one other stat he could catch Wayne in multi-goal games. Gretzky had 189. Ovechkin has 180. So there's a possibility there. You look at it. I know some people there's some people that are like, hey, you know what, Gretzky's. He still got the goal record because he has the most in the NHL. Now, if you include playoffs, it is 1,016. Ovi's at 984. So he would need 33 more goals, which would give him 43 on the season to beat Gretzky. Now, remember last year he needed 42 to break the record, and he got it. So I don't know. I can't rule him out. I know there's some that are even but you got to include WHA. They're searching for anything, Rupper. So I actually took the time to look at it and say, who has the most professional goals? If we're talking NHL, WHA, KHL, because to me, if you're going to use the WHA, you got to use KHL. And Gordie Howe, 1,071. Gretzky, 1,069. Ovechkin, 1,041. Bobby Hull, 1,018. Those are the four guys with 1,000.
Wow.
And so if you want to do that, then Ovi's actually closer in that record because he's 28 behind Gretzky there instead of being 32 behind overall. So it would look like he would need 31 goals to have the most professional goals. Now I'm not talking I'm talking high level professional because you could go into some of the British leagues and stuff, where guys are scoring 100 goals a year in a very low level pro hockey. But so any of the numbers you look at, man, if Ovi plays one more year, he's going to set all the records, and he might do it this year, for goodness sakes, the way he's going he's got 20 points in 21 games, and he's going to get the Olympic break because Russia's not going. Right. And so if at 40 years of age, he'll probably welcome it. Now, knowing Ovi, he'll be sitting on the beach drinking beers. So it's not like he'll be in the gym, and that's just who he is.
That's even more fuel. That's even more fuel for the guy. That's what he does, But
it is it's just remarkable to see. Now, we see all the great players as they get older now. You look at Crosby, and he's going to play till he's 40, I would think. And I think if he wants to, he'd have a chance to get to 2,000 points if he really wants it. Yeah, it's very doable. I've looked at it. So it is, to watch Ovi, and the other thing is, Rupper, he's only scored one goal from his, quote, office this year on that left circle. Right. So that's what I think everybody think, oh, he's just a one-timer. No, he isn't. He scores from lots of different ways, man. When you score that many freaking goals, you can score more than one way.
Yeah. And I saw the thing too, a post yesterday that I think yesterday's game, I know a lot of people were kind of giving him a hard time because he had so many, I guess, empty net goals in his career. I think he had 10 more than Wayne. So now he officially has more goals if you took away the empty netters. So than Wayne. So that was something I know some people were having an issue with which sounds crazy because both guys were getting empty net goals. But it's impressive. It's impressive what he's done, what he's doing. And the fact that you just start playing around with different scenarios and numbers of the records that he still is coming up to, it's kind of nuts.
Oh, God, yeah. Now it passed Joe Sakic for 10th all time in points. So you got Crosby and Ovi, both top 10 in points right now, all time, currently still playing. So this generation of hockey fans have seen some of the all-time greats, no question. And, obviously Connor McDavid, the way his career is going, he'll be in that list at some point later on. And, who knows? Nathan MacKinnon had a little bit slow start to his career, but, that guy's in unreal shape. I could see MacKinnon playing he's a bull. That guy could play till he's 45 and still be one of the fast guys in the league.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason Nathan MacKinnon's not gonna be a 100-point guy every year. He might. What we're seeing Sid do, this is a good one to watch with MacKinnon, and obviously all this is around health. We're seeing Sid still playing his 36, 7, 8 seasons at cooking around 90 points. I think Nathan MacKinnon's going to be a 100-point guy. He could be a 100-point guy till he's 40, and after that, it feels like at this point because he just does it a different way. That's the old guys, if you want to say, are still getting it done. But I know that a lot of people have talked about it. Just how I just don't know if I've ever recalled the league being like this, where you've got the old guard still getting it done at an extremely high level, the middle I guess, prime guys with MacKinnon, McDavid, Draisaitl, all these guys getting it done, Pasternak. And then you go to like the young guys, the Celebrini, Leo Carlson, Bedard. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen like this type of setup here with youth and veterans.
Well, I don't think we ever have, because guys never, the older players now are just, they're conditioned better, the nutrition's better, everything's better, right? So they're able to maximize their skill longer than they were in other generations, right? And even, I think people forget, like even you, Rupp, were like, geez, I didn't know Gretzky in his 19th season was fourth in scoring and had 90 points, right? And that's when guys were eating Subway and subs for post-game meals and pizza and beer, and we're flying coach, for goodness sakes. Like, today's athletes have everything given to them. Team meals, chefs at the rink every day. You know, you're eating as healthy as you can. You don't have to think about it. You get to nap. And now they got you on sleep patterns. We don't fly after games. Like, they're doing everything to maximize their skills. So in theory, they should be able to be great longer, right? Like, no doubt about it. You give everybody the opportunity. That's why I always, these guys couldn't play. I'm like, if they had all the training, of course the great players from previous generations would play here. What the hell are you talking about? Like, so one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard is people think the great players of the 80s and 90s couldn't play today because the game's faster. Well, you don't think that they would have been able to train? Right?
Differently.
We've maximized the human body because of how we know to train better. Not because the athletes are better. Like, it's very two different things there. So, yeah, I think it would be good. Now, let's get to Pat Puff, because then we're going to get to our part 2 of our Olympic roster. We do it the second last Friday of each month leading up to the Olympics. So we'll get to that. But first, we'll bring in Pat for fill in the blanks.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, fill in the blanks. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION. Must be 19 or older. First one I have for you today. I know you guys were thinking about talking about some roster Olympic rosters. So I wanted to ask you about a player that you think no one is talking about, and I'll give you some time to think about that with my pick. I mean, Bo Horvat, 30 years old, 14 goals this season, second in the league, one behind MacKinnon, tied with Draisaitl. He's a reliable two-way guy. 54% in the faceoff dot in his career, 58% this season. He's versatile. He's on the power play. He's on the penalty kill. That's my pick for someone who's maybe not really talked about too much for the Canadian roster. I'm curious who you guys would pick, and I'll start with you, Greggs.
I have Jacob Chychrun. Jacob Chychrun has been excellent for the Washington Capitals this year. He's logging tons of minutes. You look at his 4 goals against on the ice at 5-on-5 this year. He's one of the best of anybody in the league. He's 24 goals on ice for, only 9 against. When he's off the ice, they're 26 and 21. So they're still good, but they're infinitely better when he is on. He's producing points. He's playing huge minutes. And I think Jacob Chychrun is a guy that no one's talking about that should be talked about.
All right. That's a good one. So I don't know, man, this is tough, because I think that if we're talking about for Olympic rosters, there's so much that goes into it as far as experience. Were you at Four Nations? Where are you at? And playing for wearing your country's colors, all that stuff comes into the equation. But I think just in a nutshell, just talking about players that there's no one really jumping off the radar for me. The one that I'm kind of interested in a weird way, it's not really that big of a surprise because he was on Four Nations, is Vinny Trocheck. And I'll just say this. I thought that everybody would be figured that he's not going to be on the Olympic team. Like that's just, he was hurt. And I just thought that was an area in the roster that things would be changed. But I'm kind of wondering where it's going to go here. I was looking when we were doing this. I think Team USA really lacks right-handed shots as forwards, but center right-handed shots. I wonder how much that goes in the equation. You got Jack Eichel, but I don't know. Do you have some versatility with the right-hand shot? And Vinny, when he came back, I mean, you're talking about the Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere line, which I know they're kind of juggling around in New York right now, but that since the last 2 years and change, that's been the most 5-on-5 goals in the National Hockey League. So I don't know. It's interesting for me I don't think he's probably there, but depending on how he's going, and when he came back, that line just started picking up right away with the New York Rangers. That's one I kind of got my eye on because I just thought it was a done deal that maybe he wasn't going to be at the Olympics, but I wonder if there's a chance he can be.
Yeah, all right. I like that one.
Those are some good picks. We'll move on to the Florida Panthers. I mean, they've had a slow start, riddled with injuries, and it feels like every time I check the scoreboard, they're losing, but somehow they're still 11-8-1. So I'm just curious because it's confusing me a little bit. What's one word you would use to describe this Florida Panthers team? I mean, defending Stanley Cup champions, again, slow start, but I mean, they're still kind of in the mix, so I'm not really sure where they're at, Rupp.
What's one word? Lack of a better one. I'm going to say resilient. Look, I actually find it really impressive what they're doing right now. It's you. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation if we start going across some of the teams. Like there's teams that are absolutely decimated, a number of teams in the NHL. But here you talk about this Florida Panthers team who you talk about what they've done the last 3 years. A lot of hockey has been played. You got the 2 Stanley Cups in a row, blah, 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 blah. Like that naturally would make you think, oh, they're gonna run out of gas. You talk about those injuries and Pat, like that's a ton of injuries that they've had. Pretty vital pieces too. And you're sitting here looking at it like, I mean, the Florida Panthers are sitting 1 point out of a playoff spot. And they've played less games than some of the teams in the wild cards running. So, I mean, this is a team that I'm actually been very, very impressed at where they're at. I mean, if heck, you could say they're where are they? They're 23. They're 2 points, 3 points. They're 3 points out of first place in the Atlantic. For them to have that many injuries and be able to do this, I think this is a team that has been very resilient up to this point.
I was going to just say winning. They know how to win. They have a work ethic. Not only is it you've obviously got Barkov and Kachuk out, but then, Nosek's out. And then you throw in the Kulikov is out on the back end. And then Losterinen just, had a barbecuing accident. So now he's out. And he was a really like that Marchand line that might've been their best line in the playoffs last year. So, there's four of your top 12 forwards who are regular guys in different roles, all gone, and they're still doing well. They've got 20 games played. The top 6 teams in the Atlantic are separated by 2 points. And the Panthers, the Canadians, the Senators, and the Tampa Bay Lightning have all only played 20 games. So Boston's 22 and Detroit's 21. So if everybody won their games in hand, Montreal and Florida would be tied with Detroit. Tampa and Ottawa would be in first. So they'd be 1 point out. Like it's wildly close. And then Toronto, who's been meh, they're only 2 points behind them. So it's really tight. They do have the 10 regulation wins. So they own every tiebreaker right now. They find ways to win. That's what they do. And they get different guys stepping up. So I've been really impressed by what they're doing. It's not like, Bobrovsky's standing on his head. He was really good last game against the Devils, right? Got the shutout. But overall, they just on a different night, somebody else will step up and have a big game or a timely goal. And you can't count them out. So yeah, they just know how to win. So fatigue maybe is one thing. And sometimes I'm kind of like, these guys are professional athletes. They train all the time. I think fatigue is more mental than physical. And they're just like, boys, they have fun, Rupper. That's the one thing I find. Like, they have fun. And they're like, hey, hockey's supposed to be fun. And I think there's a few other teams out there that like to be captain serious too much. And I don't think it helps them.
No. And Marchand is 13 goals, 10 assists, which is absolutely crazy what he's doing right now. But that goes off of like Carter Verhaeghe and Sam Bennett combined have 6 goals. So it's not like, I mean, they're finding ways. They're finding ways. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I think surprise is kind of just part of it too. Like you said, with the injuries, I mean, everyone keeps saying, oh, Edmonton's struggling because they've gone to back-to-back cups and they've had injuries. But then you look at Florida and you're like, you don't really have that excuse. So I think surprise would be what I would use. And the last one I have for you, moving over to the Pacific, I just want to assume for a second that the Anaheim Ducks make the playoffs. I mean, they're first in the Pacific right now. They've been rolling. So in a hypothetical world where they make the playoffs, I'm curious who you think that they knock out. out, and that could be in a wild card spot as well. I mean, I think it's probably safe to say Colorado, Dallas, Vegas, maybe even the Jets are pretty much locks, and then that kind of leaves the Oilers, Kings, Wild, and Mammoth on the bubble. So Bet365 has the Wild sitting on the outside right now at minus 135 to make the playoffs, but I'm curious who you think right now would be the team to get knocked out of the playoffs.
From last year, you mean?
I mean, even
right
just
now.
I mean, even just right now, because
Seattle is Chicago. Like that to me, it's kind of easy. I don't great starts. I don't believe it's sustainable. So I'll go Seattle because it's in the same division.
So I know this isn't really what you're asking here, but like, can you imagine if the LA Kings can avoid the Edmonton Oilers in the first round of the playoffs, but they have to play their biggest rival, arguably, in the Anaheim Ducks, and Anaheim beats them. Like, talk about a team that's just taking it on the chin each year. Yeah, I mean, they're probably the same thing that you said, Greg. There's teams that are going to be falling out of this in the next 20 games. I think you're going to see some separation with some of these teams, but you can also argue, is Anaheim one of those teams? I think they'll be fine, but I still got to see if they are able to parlay this into the next 20 games. But Chicago is going to take a step back. You just look at some of these teams that have been really a big surprise. It's tough to do it for 82.
Well, hey guys, this just coming down for playoff spots. Connor Hellebuyck is going to have a minor arthroscopic knee procedure. Anticipated he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks, courtesy of Darren Dreger. And so, Eric Comrie is going to get to play a lot. And we'll see how the Jets do without Connor Hellebuyck here for 4 to 6 weeks, which is probably anywhere from 12 to 16 games. Probably, I would think maybe it eliminates, and they were already 9 points. I don't think they're catching Colorado anyway, but probably means they're not going to have home ice, at least for the first round of the playoffs. But you look at Chicago's tied with them in points, and Winnipeg does have a game in hand. The Wild are tied with them in points, Utah. So this is going to put a little bit of stress on the Winnipeg Jets here now over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, it is. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, though, because will this give them the rest they wanted to give Connor Hellebuyck later on or come playoff time? It's never good to obviously have surgery, whether it's arthroscopic or not. But yeah, I mean, this is it makes it interesting. It makes it interesting in the Vezina conversation too. There's a lot of things just topical that this will kind of open up. But Winnipeg, this is a good hockey club that's going to be tested a little bit here. And like you mentioned, Comrie is going to get a run of games, but I think this team will be fine. They'll be able to navigate it. And I hate to always say the same type things, but it matters that it happened now and not later in the season. So interesting stuff. Team USA, like, they might not even be able to have a healthy lineup. Like, the way things are going right now there's a lot of dudes that are out right now. I know there's still some time before the Olympics, and Connor Hellebuyck wouldn't be all that long, I guess. But I think you're kind of concerned if you're not. Hey, wait, Rob. What's that?
Are you making excuses already for the?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Guys, we're done. We're done, guys.
I like it.
Well, just for the record too, on Anaheim, if you don't think they're going to make the playoffs, they are plus 155 on Bet365. So there could be some juice there if you think they can't sustain this for the rest of the season. But that's all I got for you. Fill in the blanks, brought to you by Bet365.
Awesome. So now, Rupper, we're going to get to volume 2. We did it at the end of October. We'll do it at the end of November and December because, obviously things change and injuries are going to impact different rosters at different times. So we'll start with yours today. And Patty, once we get it up, we'll have your changes, some of the new faces, if you have any on it. We'll see who you have as your 14, your 8, and your 3 goalies, 25-man roster for the USA Olympic team. You got any changes from your October roster?
Yeah, I mean, I got the 2 marked in yellow here, and I'll say it for the listeners. I didn't do a lot here. It was really tough for me too, and again, people are going to jump. They did this last time. These aren't like the lines. I'm not saying Austin Matthews is a 4. I'm just throwing names up here and put them in line formation as right wingers, left wingers, whatever. But I got Kyle Connor, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat is my new ad. I didn't have DeBrincat on it before, but he's been spectacular in his chemistry. A lot of times you see at these international events, they like to have the two guys on each line. Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat have some nice chemistry. I got Jake Gensel, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk. Jason Robertson makes the roster now for me, is where we're standing right now. And I have him, Jack Hughes, Matt Boldy, and then Brady Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Tage Thompson. So Tage Thompson was the one I added last time. So he's not going to be in yellow on this list because he's still there. I put the two new guys with those two, and I got JT Miller, Cole Caulfield is my I guess extras. The guys that were out were Brock Nelson and Clayton Keller. Now, the Brock Nelson one is interesting because he plays center. I still did. For some reason, I'm stuck on this center ice issue with Team USA, where I think there's going to be something that I'm not seeing here that's going to happen because they don't have a ton of center ice options. And even some of the guys that would push the roster to get in aren't necessarily centers. So, I don't know. That's and plus you got Austin Matthews has been dinged up, Jack Hughes dinged up. You got injuries to center ice right now. So that's what I got up front. Back end, pretty low event for me here. I got nothing changing. I got the same decor from last time. I got Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, Slavin, Faber, Renski, Sanderson, Hannafin, Fox. And then my goaltenders are all the same as well. Hellebuyck, Ottinger, Swayman. But again, making excuses already. A lot of these guys are hurt, Greg, so I don't even know. Some of these guys haven't played much hockey or any hockey this year.
What about Mr. Spencer Knight in Chicago? Like Spencer Knight is having an unreal year for the Chicago Blackhawks, right? He's got right now he leads the NHL in save percentage, .922. He started 14 games. He's 7-4-3. He's got a 2.47 goals against. He's facing a ton of shots, right? Like if you look at his shots against, the only guy, well, I guess because they played more games, Dustin Wolves, Shesterkin, Dostal, but in 14 games, he's faced 450. In 18 games, Wolf has faced 483, which is the most. So obviously in the next 4 games, I'm pretty sure Spencer Knight's going to face more than 33 shots combined. So, he's got the highest shot total for sure, facing a ton of rubber, which can help your save percentage because not all those shots are quality scoring chances. But Spencer Knight, like you look at that trade, everybody's like, oh, what a great trade for Florida, Seth Jones. Yeah, really good trade for Chicago too. Like that's a trade that has worked out for both teams. And, I hear a lot of people when they talk, wow, you're going to trade UC Saros. See, they got Seth Jones. You got to get a really good player back in return. Yeah. Right. Chicago got Spencer Knight. And I'm telling you, I think Spencer Knight, like Hellebuyck, depends how he recovers from this. It's a minor thing, they say, according to Dregs. So, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it'll just help him rest wise. But, Ottinger, Swayman, I could see Spencer Knight, man, if he continues it and say, hey, this guy's a younger goalie. Maybe he should be our number 3 because he'll be here again in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean it's a good one. I need to see a little bit more because I just thought that this goaltending position for Team USA was pretty, I don't know, ironclad. Like maybe fair. It's going to take a little bit for me to get off that. And if there was an injury, maybe a big dip in play for one of these guys, Spencer Knight would be the guy. I mean, Spencer Knight's been awesome, and it's kind of crazy when you're looking at Chicago this year. Their goals against, a lot of it's Spencer Knight, but a lot of it's the team too. It's way down. Like their goals against, they're one of the league leaders. And that to me is what shows that Chicago has really made some strides. But I like that one. I'm just not quite there yet to be able to displace one of the others.
Okay. All right. I don't mind that. I think, Robertson, it's funny. He wasn't really in the conversation, but God, he has been on fire. And he's basically saying like, he's one of those guys. If the GM says get noticed, he's getting noticed. And Clayton Keller's been quiet. Brock Nelson, same thing. You had JT Miller as an extra. And I think you need at least one center as an extra. That's kind of a no-brainer. And you're right. They don't have a ton of their guys that were centers that you move to the wing. Whereas Canada has a boatload of centers that are going to be moving to the wing. Whereas the USA, I think that's why their extra forward, one of them has to be a center. It's not even a debate for me. And maybe both of them are guys. Now, Tage Thompson, I guess, is the one that can play center that's on the wing. So, but you want guys who can play multiple positions for sure. It helps. And so I don't mind that DeBrincat. Robertson getting some guys in. Was there anyone is a Cutter Gauthier guy? Is he we talk about the young Canadians? Is Cutter Gauthier putting himself in that mix, do you think, for Team USA?
So in the mix, yeah. I mean, you got to entertain that conversation. I think that what he's been doing, man, he's a shooter and he shoots the puck. And but I just think that this team with some of these players they have a lot of quote unquote shooters. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of contradict myself in this because when we talk about Canada, and we'll get to yours in a minute, I think that you want to keep one eye on the future. And for whatever reason, Team USA, I don't look at it that way. Maybe it's because I feel like Team USA doesn't have as much to choose from. I don't want to say that. That's put wrong. A lot of talent. But I just feel like the Canadian team has a lot of situational players, specialty players that are able to move around their lineup and do different things that I don't know if Team USA all fully has that. So it's I don't know if you can use a spot to keep an eye on the future, if that makes any sense. Like when we talk about Canada, there's some players that you can totally put into, hey, in this tournament, we need you to be you're not going to play as much as you normally do. We need you to be a lockdown guy. Got guys that can do that. I don't know if Team USA has that. So it's more of just let's make sure we have it covered with enough veteran players that we hope is good enough to adapt. And that's why we can't just bring a young guy along for the ride and potentially get him in. Where Canada, I feel very comfortable that can cover all those other things. And now you can bring along, maybe it's who the young guys are too. MacKinnon celebrating, competes really hard on pucks, all those things. I think Canada can bring the young guys for the experience.
The other guy that I looked at and I thought, I wonder, because the USA, like the Tkachuk brothers, yeah, they'll mix it up, but a lot of their other forwards are kind of the same type of guys, right? They're not overly physical, overly gritty. I wonder if a Kiefer Sherwood, who has 12 goals and hits everything that moves, do you look and say, God, he's just going to bring a different element to our team? And maybe we need an energy guy. Hey, he's got 12 goals, which I think is tied for second amongst American forwards. Only Cole Caulfield has more with 13. I think there's Robertson and Larkin and Key. Last I looked, unless somebody else scored last night, Cutter Gauthier too. I know it's a wild card because people look and say, hey, you know what? This guy's never done it. But fighter, but he hitter. Rupper. He is physical and he skates. And I just sometimes look and say, hey, if this guy's going to be on our fourth line, and he might be a better fourth line guy with skill than some of the other guys are going to play in our fourth line. Because eventually your fourth line just doesn't play as much, even in tournaments when you got guys who are 30, 40 goal scorers, they just don't play as much. So I wonder if they're thinking about him.
It's a valid point because, I don't know, Pat, can you put up Team USA forwards again? Because this is what I got when I was kind of looking at this. And again, I'm not saying these are what the lines are going to be, should be, but there's a little bit of that going into play. Thank you. When I was looking at it, okay, let's go back to the Four Nations, which I think seeing chemistry with certain players is a big thing. The Eichel and both Tkachuks on the same line was probably their best line. They were awesome. Yeah. But here's the thing. When I'm looking at this, and I put Alex DeBrincat in here, okay, I took Clayton Keller out. So let's just go over some of the names here. You got Kyle Connor, Alex DeBrincat, Jake Gensel, Clayton Keller,
Caulfield. They're all
Jack
the same.
Hughes, Cole Caulfield. Great players. I'm not trying to talk, but you have a lot of smaller, undersized guys that are very great players. But when I was putting them on lines, that's why I had to break up the Tkachuks. I don't know if I was coming across a line of a Jack Hughes. I was coming across a line of Jack Hughes, Kyle Connor, and Cole Caulfield. I'm like, oh my gosh, that can't be a line. It's just too. It's great if you are just having the puck the whole time and snap it around. So that's where your argument has some legs for me, because you need certain players to complement other players. And that's one area. I don't know if Team USA, they have a lot of talent, but they don't have a lot of guys who complement different styles of play.
Yes. And that's why I just been looking at, Gauthier's. Now he's not overly physical, but a little bit bigger. Sherwood physical and he can score.
Yeah.
He's not a big playmaker, but he gets you some goals. And he's fast and he's aggressive. And I just wonder if they're looking at that and saying, hey, if Canada's going to go with Wilson and, Braden Point's a smaller guy, but he's feisty as you know what. And, Nathan MacKinnon is definitely no shrinking vine. Like Brad Marchand gets in your face all the time. Like I wonder. So we'll see. So now let's get to Team Canada. Here's my November 21st forward group. I do have a few changes, and I don't think anybody's going to be surprised as you see the two young guns are in Macklin, Celebrini. So I have McDavid, Reinhart, and Point, MacKinnon, Crosby. I have Celebrini there. Now those first five guys are already locks on the team, so that's why I have them listed there. So I have Celebrini. Then I have Mark Scheifele with Bedard and Mitch Marner. And then I got a real physical line in Bennett, Wilson, and Marchand that would just pest. Now you could spread those guys out, right? Like Rupper, these lines aren't set in stone. And then I got Cirelli and Suzuki as my extra forwards. Mark Stone, Seth Jarvis, I took out for Bedard and Celebrini. And I still think this is going to evolve and change for sure. But like I have Tom Wilson on the team. I think he's playing very well. He's learned to. I think he's won a Stanley Cup. He knows how to play in big games. He's physical. And without the fighting, I think the physical intimidation can maybe be even a little bit better because you don't have to fight. So it's like, hey, guys, we can run around even more a little bit, obviously within the rules and not take stupid penalties. But I like his speed. He can score. I like that tenacity. Bennett showed up so well in the Four Nations and the playoffs. And Bennett is what he is. That's what I said when he got his $8 million a year. I was like, people are like, oh, what a good deal. I'm like, are you joking? He's never going to live up to that because he's not a big scorer. He scored 50 points once. But on a roll on your team, if Sam Bennett is your third and fourth line center all freaking day, I'm taking him because that guy is like, he's crazy. Like that guy's like, he looks through you. He's got a little bit of a Dexter mentality to him. So I got him. Suzuki had a really good start. I think he's a guy that's going to have to pick his game up here a little bit if he wants to make it because there's lots of other guys. Like Mark Stone, when he was healthy, he's good. And now we'll see what that injury is. But when Mark Stone's healthy, you know what he is. He's a 100% gamer. He knows how to win. He competes. They like him. Obviously, his coach is on the team, and make no mistake, Rupper, that's going to factor in because sometimes two guys are even, but I know this guy, right? I really know this guy, and that plays into it. So we'll see. I think Suzuki's going to have to pick up his game here. But the way Celebrini and Bedard have played, it's impossible, I think, to have them off. They're not going to play the starring roles by any stretch of the imagination, but I think they're showing that they got to be in the conversation. And Mark Scheifele just continues to roll as well for Winnipeg. Everybody's talking about Celebrini and Bedard. Well, Scheifele's right there in points. And, he's a veteran guy. He's been through some playoffs. Obviously, he's never won a cup or anything like that. But I like Scheifele's game a lot. And he can move to the wing, too, if you need him. So that's what I got for my.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny since in that month's time, I think we were, since it's in yellow, Celebrini was not on your last list, right?
No.
That's
Bedard,
so
no.
That was that's one that I think that a lot of us people, fans, media have come around to first saying, well, Celebrini, he's got to be on that roster, right? Well, in the last month, Connor Bedard has had something to say about that too. I think there's no chance these guys are not on. At one point, I thought it was one of them. It's one of them over the other. But the way things are going right now, it'll be fun doing this each month. I think you have to get both on, not just and the interesting thing is we're not even putting them in there as extras to go along for the ride. Like we talked about with maybe potential guys for Team USA. No, like these guys can help you win this thing, and that's pretty impressive. And then this is where it just gets different to me with Team Canada, because I agree with you on Sam Bennett, but Sam Bennett, his 6 points right now, or 4 goals, 2 assists, or whatever he has. I don't know. It's
4 goals, 2 assists.
4 goals, 2 assists on a team that is completely decimated with injuries. You would sit there and think to yourself, just a little bit like Brad Marchand is, more opportunity. Let's see him find another level. Like this is what Sam does. Sam doesn't necessarily do this. Sam does it when you need him in the playoffs. You need him in those big stages. That's why, it almost doesn't matter to me what Sam Bennett does in the regular season. I would probably have him on there as well. The kicker to me is I wonder how much, and there's going to be decisions like this for both Team USA and Team Canada. the respective coaches of I don't want to say the word politics of it all, because they have their guys they believe in. They see them on the day-to-day. But there's going to be some tough decisions on Mike Sullivan's New York Ranger players. Who should come, who shouldn't come? How are you going to navigate that? It's difficult. And, you could say the same thing for John Cooper in Tampa. Like Anthony Cirelli, I don't see there any way, shape, or form he's not there. But then also, we think he's just going to be like, all right, Brandon Hagel's not going. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting how those things come into the equation. It's not about playing favorites. It's not about, and maybe it is in some regards, but like this is like they know what these guys are. They see them every single day, and that's kind of the X factor with these rosters for me. And you can go on and on with some of these different players that are on teams with the coaching staff.
Yeah, because you're right. Because I have Konechny, Stone, Jarvis as guys who are on the Four Nations team, and Hagel who aren't on my team now. So that's 4 fours. There's 5 new ones because there was only 13 the last time. But you can't just bring back Stanley Cup winners. Don't bring back the exact same team usually. So I would, even though I know it's only 1 year apart, and when you're talking this type of talent, it's a little bit different than a Stanley Cup team. You don't just get to choose from everybody. You only get to choose from certain guys. So you're right, though. I think there's conversations that to be had, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those conversations amongst the brass to say, hey, who we keeping, who are we bringing in? And so we'll see. And that's, hey, it always evolves. Like if injuries will play a factor in this for certain. And that's why we're going to do it every 4 weeks. We'll do it again late December, do it again late January. And we'll see what happens because their injuries are going to be a big factor for sure. Unfortunately, there's going to be some key guys on every nation that get banged up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is again, I already made that excuse. Team USA is decimated with injuries right now, and they're done. No. It's but they're all. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you get because your point too. We talk about Mark Stone. How good was Mark Stone? I mean, Vegas will tell you. Vegas doesn't look like the same team without him. So that's the big the X factor in all this is team health, and we'll see where that's at because there's a lot of guys out right now.
Yeah. Now, so I'll get to my defense, and I actually do have a change on defense, Rupper. So when Pat had asked me that question, if you're wondering why I was so prepared for Jacob Chychrun, it's because I had looked and Cale Makar, Devon Taves, Harley Parayko, Theodore Morrissey, they're still there. I still have Matthew Schaefer. Everybody knows he got put on Canada's the list of 90 guys to do the drug testing, so you know he's in the conversation. But I really dug into other defensemen. And Sanheim, it's not anything that Sanheim isn't doing, but Jacob Chychrun, what he's doing last year in Washington, what he's done this year in Washington, he's staying healthy, which used to be probably his biggest detriment. But his numbers are spectacular. I'm going to give it there's 2 things I uncovered when I was looking for Chychrun and, his goals for again. So he's 24-9. There's only a few guys in the league that have been on for more goals for 5-on-5. And 5 of them, it's like we got the Russian 5 in Colorado, Rupper. MacKinnon, Necas, Makar, Lehkonen, and Taves. They're 29, 26, 26, 25, and 25. Zach Werenski's 25, and then Chychrun's 24. So you got one basic line in Colorado that's killing it, right? Yeah. Here's Jacob Chychrun in Washington, and I'm not going to say he's a freedom fighter by any stretch of the imagination, but to me, it's just not a coincidence when you have guys that are on the ice all the time like that. And, they're out shooting the opposition significantly. Like he's on 24 goals. And then, Matt Roy and Martin Ferrari are 18 each, right? John Carlson's 19. So he's playing a little bit more minutes than all those guys. He's playing the most minutes of all of them. His expected goals is really high. His shot for percentage is really high. He's producing points. He's big. He's physical. And to me, he's a little bit more skilled than Travis Sanheim. And he's sound defensively right now. So that's why I have Chychrun. I think he's a guy that should get noticed. I think he's probably got a big boulder to push uphill to make that team. But I put him on my roster just the way he's played. I'm kind of rewarding him for a really good start to the season.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's the one thing, though, there's something with Travis Sanheim, though, that I just don't. I don't know. There's when I look at this, you're talking about the best of the best. So we're talking about Olympic teams. We're talking about Team Canada defense. Yeah. So me saying anything, I'm not trying to slight any of these guys, but they don't feel like they have guys who potentially are. They have a lot of intriguing offensive guys. Having more shutdown guys is going to be key for this D-core too. And that's why I think Sanheim's going to be a tough one for me to maybe move out. But that's one of the things with Team Canada where you're thinking, yes, offensively, Jacob Chikrin's more talented. But then again, I think the same thing with some of the forwards is like, you don't really need a ton more offense than what you already have. But you're right. His numbers while he's on the ice are impressive, and you can't ignore those things. So yeah, it's going to be I think that the decision-making will be the quote-unquote extras. That will start off maybe the extras for Team Canada. But I know you added Matthew Schaefer last time. I love that decision. And right now, that looks like a good one that's probably going to run that course as well. Just on your goaltenders, though, how much thought did you give on Wedgewood?
Not a ton. He's never really been a starter in the NHL. I know he's done it for a short period of time and has played well. So I had Binnington. I have Logan Thompson in for Hill. I don't care what happened in Vegas. It's irrelevant now. It's multiple years later, and he's been the best Canadian goalie so far. Hill's hurt. And then I have Kemper as well in there, right? I had Thompson the last time, but I put Kemper in for Adin Hill. Adin Hill, I'd kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's only played 5 games. He's hurt. I don't know when he's coming back. And Darcy Kemper, to me, is reliable. Wedgewood, I love the story, but he's never been an NHL starter for more than 20 games. So I don't know if it's enough for me to look and say, hey, can this guy come in? Now, I guess the one advantage is he could come off the bench. He's probably more used to doing that than any of the other guys in a game situation. But do I think I'm going to dress him ahead of Logan Thompson if he's even the backup? Probably.
Oh, no. Just as far as as far as the 3.
Yeah, but Binnington's numbers, Rupper, they're not good. And I know he did the 4 Nations. I know, but his regular season, we're talking, you're coming up on 25 games now. And for the team, but not for him. But he's been awful in St. Louis so far. So goaltending's the one wild card. I think they'll keep him as one of the 3 because they're like, geez, this guy showed us last year. He can be a gamer. And in the final, he made some huge saves against Team USA. Everybody remembers those. And I do think that management, that'll play a factor. But he might get game 1 based on everything. And he might be protected because that defense core is pretty darn good. But the way he's playing, man, he's going to have to wake up here soon.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's probably the staple as far as Jordan Binnington. But the other one too, Logan Thompson, for me, he has to be there. So maybe that's the answer of who's the hottest right now. I mean, with the Hellebuyck news missing some time, I mean, kind of feels like the Vezina is, I don't want to say wide open, but it probably Logan Thompson and Wedgewood would be the 2 guys that I'd be thinking. And I don't know where the numbers are going to be at the end of the season for Logan Thompson because I don't know where the Washington Capitals are going to be, but he's been playing really good. But I think you bring one of those guys who is playing the hottest right now, and that's Logan Thompson. So I would probably leave a guy like Wedgewood. And there's obviously other names as opposed to just Scott Wedgewood. But that's continually going to be a topic of conversation is Team Canada's goaltending.
Oh God, yeah. I look at when I look at a guy in Canada that, well, I guess going to the Vezina story was Spencer Knight's got to be right up there in the conversation too, man.
Yes,
based on this year's play, I wouldn't even have had Hellebuyck in my top 3 at the quarter pole based on how some of the other guys are playing. But Spencer Knight for sure. Canada's goaltending will be a question, but I say if you have good structure in front of you, your goalie doesn't have to. He just has to make 1 or 2 good timely saves at the end of it, right? And that's what I think is going to have to happen. You look at the last time the NHL teams were in the Olympics, Canada's goaltending, they could have sat in a rocking chair, right? That defense core back then was unbelievable for Canada. The goaltending was. Canada barely gave up any goals. They barely gave up any shots. It was actually, I remember the 14 Olympics. It was kind of boring. It was such a defensive structure. But honestly, go look at the scores of those games.
So boring winning. It's so boring winning so easily.
No, but how they won, Rupper, was just
I know. I know what you're saying.
Nothing happened. It was low event hockey because they sucked the life. They couldn't score as much as they would have liked. but they sucked the life out of teams and gave up nothing. Now, if you're a defensive guy, you're like, what are you talking about, Gregor? It was amazing. And that's true. But great defense is rarely entertaining. I can respect it and appreciate it, but it's not like, oh my God, like, there wasn't a lot of chances given up because they were just so good. Like so that good, blue line with Pietrangelo and all those guys, Doughty, and go down the list. Like they were so good back in 2014.
Oh, 100%. Ridiculous.
Jay Bouwmeester, they were all big.
But no one's ever going to say that was one of the greatest Team Canada teams because of that. That's always going to go to the, I mean, it's not going to be because of who was on some of those old rosters back in the day, but like, it's not, it's not the big sexy way of winning.
No, it wasn't. Like, they had really good, like Duncan Keith, and man, they had some good players on that team, like lots of Hall of Famers. It was an unreal blue line, and it might have been the greatest offensive team they've ever had. I would say that, but that doesn't win you greatest team. Just doesn't, because they didn't score a ton of goals either. So we'll see. Lastly, what did you think before we let you go? What did you think of the Rantanen hit on Romanov? I do think that whatever happened there kind of touching Scott Mayfield was something that fed into that. Flip skates a bit, right?
Yeah. So like, I don't think it was as clear as just a guy going in there at the end of the game, getting in a little too hot and hitting a guy from behind. But at the end of the day, still, you got to be in control of your body. And it was just a nasty looking play there. But it was, you got to be in control of your body. But at the same time, there was something else that kind of added to it. And that was the interaction or the clipping of the skates with Mayfield. So the reaction, I think, from Patrick Waugh was, I probably would have reacted the same way, but it was also I think it's going to be a pretty galvanizing moment for the New York Islanders, just the way that he reacted. I mean, just to have a coach, like it's just, and it's who it is too. Like, this isn't just like a coach that had our back, which would be incredible. And it was something that resonates with the players. So you talk about arguably the best goalie to ever play the game is losing his mind. He's threatening that player. Like, that to me is like, oh, this guy's in it with us. Like, in some weird way, this could be a real galvanizing moment. But just hope that see Romanov out long term. Like, it was a nasty, nasty play.
Yeah, it was for sure. Rupper, great pod, buddy. Appreciate it as always. We'll get to another edition of the Rundown next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening and watching the DFO Rundown presented by Bet365.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.